Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This video I'm going to be going over the playoff scenarios across the NFL. It's week 18 coming up this weekend. Got a couple games Saturday. Most of the games are Sunday. And we have a lot of teams that are in the hunt. Some teams have secured exactly where they're going to be. We're going to have some starters being rested. Instead of doing the power rankings, which I do every Wednesday typically, didn't think it was too beneficial to do it today. Instead, I'm going to go over the playoff scenarios. Before I do, guys, please subscribe to the channel. We hit 808 subs, slowly but surely climbing our way to 1,000. If you like football, baseball, maybe some hockey, this is the channel for you. We do power rankings. We do other fun videos along the way, predictions. And yeah, this is it. We're going to start things off with the AFC. We got a couple of teams that are secured. Nothing's going to change. They're probably going to rest some players. We're going to talk about Baltimore. They're number one seed. They're going to get the first round bye. That is secured. They're playing Pittsburgh, though, and that's a team that we'll talk about at the end here. They're in the hunt, and really you would expect them to start going pretty ham, where Baltimore is going to be resting a lot of their players. On the other side, we have Kansas City at the number 3 seed. They're pretty much secured there. They're not going to move. They won their division last week. Probably another scenario where they're going to rest a lot of starters, securing. They're going to be playing whoever is the number 6 seed, and that is going to be an interesting one. And we also have the Browns at number 5. They're not going to be able to move up. That's secured, and that's going to be pretty much secure for them. So we've got 3 teams that are locked in, but the story gets very interesting from there, especially when you're looking at the AFC East. We got the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. I had to sport my Dolphins gear today. Gotta root for them. They're my team, right? But I do understand that whoever wins this game coming up on Sunday is going to win the division. On the flip side, if you're the team that loses, you're pretty much looking at the number 6 seed. If the Dolphins lose, they're definitely going to be the number 6 seed. I don't know for sure if that's where the Bills will happen, because I know if they lose, there's a potential they don't make the playoffs at all. We'll talk about that in a second. The number 4 seed is going to go to the team that wins the AFC South. Right now, the tiebreaker does go to Jacksonville. So they're playing Tennessee. They're on the road in Tennessee. So if they win, they're going to be clinching that division. But at the same time, we got 2 teams here in Houston, in Indy, both with the same record as Jacksonville right now. So if Jacksonville loses, the division does technically going to go to one of these 2 teams, because whoever wins this game will win the division. Indy is playing Houston. That is going to be a massive, massive game. On the flip side, if Jacksonville wins, they're going to clinch the number 4 seed. And then we will see these 2 teams play for that number 7 seed. And I think it's potentially a number 6 seed if Buffalo loses, because we do have one outsider with the outside chance. It's the Steelers. They're playing Baltimore. It's a must-win situation for them. Same with these guys. It's a must-win situation. But for the Steelers, when they win, they should win against Baltimore, with who isn't playing for much. But if they win, they're going to need one of these things to happen. Buffalo is going to need to lose, or Jacksonville is going to need to lose, or somehow Indy and Houston have to find a tie if Pittsburgh wins, because technically I guess Pittsburgh doesn't have the tiebreaker against any of these guys, so they would need to have a little bit more of a winning percentage. And if you had to ask me to predict right now, which I'm going to do, we're going to have Jacksonville. They're going to sneak in. They're going to hold that number 4 seed. That is it. I'm going to have to stick, unfortunately. I'm going to be a bad fan here. I am going to predict the Bills to beat the Dolphins. I just have not seen the Dolphins do what it takes to beat a team when it matters. A good team. It's just been a rough season for them there. Having a couple of their guys injured last week, getting blown out by Baltimore. I think Buffalo might be able to take advantage of that. On the flip side, they don't have the same defense Baltimore does, but I do predict Buffalo going to take that number 2 seed, which is going to in line take it to them to be the number 6 seed. And then we get to the final game. It's going to be the one of the most exciting games of the week. We're going to have Houston and Indy, and I'm leaning Houston right now, but I do not ever sleep on Gardner Minshew, because we call him in this house the mustache bandit. That guy has been incredible. Just finds ways to win, especially in games like this. I'm leaning Houston. I would not be surprised if it's Indy, but right now I am going to pick Houston. And if that's the case, if Jacksonville wins, Buffalo wins, and Houston wins, that's going to mean the Steelers are going to be eliminated. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. This is the AFC, so now let's jump in to the NFC. All right, we got the NFC over here, and there's only really one playoff spot left up for grabs. So let's just jump in and talk about that first. Green Bay is holding on to that number 7 spot. They're in a pretty great situation. They are playing the Chicago Bears. It's a division rival, could get intense. It's a Chicago chance to really punish a division rival here. So that one spot is up for grabs. We also have the division up for grabs. I'll talk about that in a second. But for the Packers, they win and they're in. They're not necessarily going to be a number 7 either. They could even improve to a number 6 spot here with a LA Rams loss. LA plays San Francisco. It's probably a situation where San Francisco, we see them locked in at the number 1 seed. They're probably going to be resting. They're going to have 2 weeks of real rest to get ready for the next round. Rams should be able to rest as well. So it's not really a do or die situation for them. And in all honesty, you might want to get number 7. I don't know. It's tough to say because number 2 is a whole different ballgame. But overall, Green Bay, you win, you're in. Rams lose, they drop to 7. Green Bay would be seed 6. But on the side of things, let's assume that Green Bay loses. That opens up the door for these other teams that are also right now 8-8. We got the Seahawks. They're playing the Arizona Cardinals. You would expect them to win in a must-win situation, but they need Green Bay to lose and them to win to get in. And then we drop down to New Orleans. They're playing Atlanta, a team that in theory is still in the hunt. It all comes down to this NFC South situation, which is not locked up for Tampa Bay. A lot of people are kind of assuming it's locked up because Tampa Bay is playing Carolina. They're in a win and you're in situation. If Tampa Bay wins, they should win against the worst team in the league, right? They should win that game. They should secure that up. So for New Orleans to get in, they need Green Bay to lose, Seattle to lose, and then them to beat Atlanta to get that number 7 seed. Or they need Tampa Bay to lose and them to win, and then they're in. On the same note, in the NFC South, we have Tampa Bay losing. Let's just say that happens. Atlanta technically has a shot at the division. If they beat New Orleans, they would somehow sneak into number 4 seed there. And then it's pretty much a dream situation for whoever is number 5. Now, Minnesota has the most outside chance, I think, on the entire board. Maybe Atlanta, but for Minnesota, they have a shot. They're playing Detroit. Detroit is the number 3 seed. That's not going to change. That loss to Dallas, we're not going to get into that, but that loss to Dallas set them up to not be able to really get that number 2 seed. Minnesota needs Green Bay to lose, Seattle to lose, and New Orleans to lose to be able to get in. At this point, I would pretty much say that's impossible. And on top of that, they got to win. I forgot to mention that. And they might not even be able to beat Detroit's backups. So I think Minnesota's out. I would assume Atlanta is out of the situation here. It's really going to come down to Green Bay versus Chicago, who is going to win that game. But let's not forget, there's still one more important situation left on the board. It's the number 2 seed, home field advantage, at least in that first 2 rounds of the playoffs. The Eagles blew it last week with losing that game, just absolutely atrocious, losing to Arizona. They've dropped down to the 5th seed right now. When I was doing my predictions, I assumed Philly was just going to go 3-0 down the stretch, and losing that game really, really is killing them. Dallas, they're playing Washington this week. If they win that game, they're going to secure the number 2 seed. No way Philadelphia can catch them. On the other hand, if Philadelphia wants to get number 2, they need Dallas to lose, and they need to beat the Giants. And we all saw on Christmas Day how ugly that potentially could be. So Philly has their back up against the wall, very likely going to be the number 5 seed. And yeah, so if you were to ask me, I would assume Tampa Bay is going to take care of Carolina. They're going to lock up that number 4 seed. Dallas is going to win against Washington. Philly, win or lose, doesn't matter. I think they're going to win, but really doesn't matter. They're going to be number 5. And then at the end of the day, Green Bay versus Chicago. I would not be shocked at all if Fields plays Chicago. This is their Super Bowl. This is a chance to upset division rival Aaron Rodgers. I own you, all that fun stuff. That rivalry, Bears versus Packers, is massive. I would not be shocked whatsoever if Chicago wins this game. And if they do, I would suspect Seattle to be able to beat Arizona again. Another situation. They always set up these division battles at the end. It could be an upset. So if I had to predict, I'm going to actually predict Seattle to take that number 7 seed because I am going to call an upset Chicago over Green Bay. I just think they can do it. It's their Super Bowl. Assuming Fields is playing. If he's not, if for whatever reason they're protecting franchise quarterback, all that stuff, don't see it happening. But if that is the case, I would think Green Bay can get it done. But guys, there you have it. The playoffs are upon us. We got one more week of the NFL. I broke down all the scenarios that we kind of have. There's a lot of crazy scenarios that if there are a lot of ties, then things would happen. But I didn't jump into that. I don't want to get too much into it. We haven't seen a tie yet this year. I don't think it's going to come down to this year. Although we all remember a couple of years ago that tie that changed the world. But guys, there you have it. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think specifically number 7? What do you guys think? Any of these divisions going to see massive upsets? Drop a comment below. Subscribe to the channel. We will see you out there for the next playoff prediction next week. Thanks for watching.